Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about tonight, and this one isn't quite so positive. Um, it was the reason why I wanted to do the video I just did about Bonhoeffer. So when I release them this week, I'll release them in the order that I originally wanted to do them. A filmmaker by the name of Rob Reiner. You know Rob Reiner. He was Meathead in All in the Family. Apparently that was his first big role. He went on to direct a bunch of different movies and star in a bunch of different movies. I think he's still acting and he's still directing. And I think he did The Princess Bride, if I'm not mistaken. Anyhow, he did Spinal Tap was another one that he did. Anyhow, he is now he's producing a documentary called God and Country. This is the poster for the documentary. So he's producing this documentary called for God and Country. And he recently did an interview on CNN, and I would encourage you to check it out. It's a lovely interview with Christiane Amanpour, and she says Christian in just she has such a lovely accent. Christian. I can't do it like her. But anyway, just go check it out. You'll love how she does it. A Few Good Men, Josh. Yeah, that's right. Anyhow, so he's producing this documentary called God and Country, and they were interviewing about God and Country and why he felt it necessary to produce it. And really what it comes down to is Christian nationalism. The documentary is about the Christian nationalism movement in the United States and the danger it poses. And he brings in a bunch of Christian scholars, and he brings in a bunch of lawmakers, and he brings in a bunch of historians, and he brings in a bunch of other experts, and they talk in this documentary about Christian nationalism. He brings in priests and pastors and theologians who talk about Christian nationalism. He brings in people who are very conservative Christians to talk about the dangers of Christian nationalism. And when they asked him why, it's exactly what he went to. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Nationalism, Christian nationalism, leads to really, really awful things. No good comes out of it. It's taking what could be a beautiful religion, a beautiful faith, and it's twisting it, and it's contorting it, and it is grinding it into something that it was never meant to be. All because it's trying to manipulate people. It's trying to garner support. It's trying to lead people. It's trying to lead people away. I mean, we were talking earlier. Somebody mentioned cheap grace, right? Somebody mentioned cheap grace. Bonhoeffer coined a term about cheap grace when you give up following Jesus and Jesus alone, and instead put your trust in this person, this man, this office that pales in comparison. That's cheap grace. Here's the thing. How should we, as Christians, and again, this isn't a matter that I'm leaving anybody out, I promise, but Christian nationalism makes people afraid. Christian nationalism scares people. It scares neighbors. It terrifies communities. The idea that the nation, the state, will become a theocracy that wants to impose its moral understanding, its morality, its values and its norms upon non-believers is terrifying to people. The fact that we see flags at the January 6th insurrection of the Christian flag flying high, and flags and banners with Jesus' name on it, and crosses being held up high, scares people. We scare people. Because it's not just a matter of, okay, so Christian nationalism scares people, but Christians in there, they're stealing the brand. They're ruining the brand. I mean, it's already been damaged enough with all the nonsense that pastors, ministers, priests have pulled over the years. It's already tarnished enough, damaged enough with all the nonsense that the church has engaged in over the years. Do we want people to be afraid of Christians? Because ultimately, if the church gets behind this Christian nationalism thing and we say, oh, okay, yeah, you know what? We're going to support it. What we're saying is it's okay that we make people afraid of Christ. In a world where people are already doubtful of what the church could mean for them, what a relationship with Jesus may mean for them. Do we really need to add any more fuel to the fire? Do we really need to give people any more reasons to doubt the sincerity and the authenticity of the church, that we do allow nationalism to usurp that title, our name, our identity? It bothers me to no end that a person like Rob Reiner, wonderful entertainer, believes that he has to do this kind of work because Christians are this terrifying. And I know you're going to say, well, no, but it's Christian nationalism. And for what it's worth, in the interview, he talks about what's in this documentary, and he said it's filled with Christians. He said, we're not knocking Christianity. We're not knocking Christianity. But still, those two terms, if we allow them to marry, if we allow these nationalists to steal our identity, we'll never get it back. We've already seen it with the word evangelical. Evangelical 30 years ago wasn't a bad word. It is now. Being an evangelical means something completely different than it did 30 or 40 years ago. Is this where the word Christian is going to go? A word that, because it ends up being identified with nationalism, that it's only spoken in hushed tones, in friendly surroundings, in places where it won't be heard, viewed, perceived as offensive. Not because of Jesus. Now, everybody loves Jesus, right? Not because Christians are being persecuted for their gospel or for following Christ. No. But because we've allowed our identity to be stolen from us. I can't, for the life of me, quite understand. How people can stand up and boldly, stupidly say, I'm a Christian nationalist, and there's nothing wrong with that. Can't be both. They don't go together. You can't be both. Amen.